Invest in reading and seek explanation from government before you criticize. That's Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to his critics.
When we say something and they don't understand, instead of asking for an explanation and also reading about it, they don't like to read, they don't want to ask for explanation, they just say you are lying.
Policy think tank Imani Africa predicts tough legal battles against government's planned debt restructuring as Ghana holds talks with IMF for a bailout.
If somebody takes the government to court, the likelihood that the uncertainty around it may make the whole process less palatable to international investors and rating agents and the like is very high.
We'll hear from him and bring you a government statement on the IMF negotiations. Also, Medical and Dental Council serves notice degrees from war-stricken Ukraine will no longer be recognized. We'll tell you why. And on our RTI request, Ghana Airport Company Limited refuses to share details of Frontier's Health Services contract on the airport's COVID-19 testing. They claim it contains information that cannot be disclosed. Member of Parliament on Public Accounts Committee, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, says the refusal does not make sense.
Well, first and foremost, let me quickly respond to one of the reasons they gave to Joy for their refusal to provide you with the information you sought from them. If they said that the monies were paid directly to Frontier Health, I mean, that is absolutely nonsense.
Hello again, thanks for choosing us. Like everything else, the price of sanitary pads has risen and it's becoming more expensive for women to maintain menstrual hygiene. Adolescents are now feeling the pinch as they say they are being forced to save part of their daily feeding fee to purchase sanitary pads. A John East Tracker reports by Efwa Apreko Abuafo looked at the NPP's campaign promise to eliminate import taxes on sanitary pads.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will eliminate import duties on sanitary pads to improve health conditions, particularly for girls. It's very important, but what we want to really do is to make sure we produce the sanitary pads in Ghana.
That was Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on 22nd August 2020, making a firm promise that his party will eliminate import tariffs on sanitary pads if re-elected into power. The New Patriotic Party won the 2020 election, but the government is yet to fulfill its promise. Sanitary pads are subjected to a 20% import tax and a 12.5% value-added tax, making the product expensive for many women. Taxes aren't the only factor driving up the prices of sanitary pads. According to dealers, the high cost of fuel is also to blame.
Well, now le 5 cedis, 50 pesos, no le 7 cedis. She be at 9 cedis, or le 10 cedis. Ne, what be a no na mengo na make petrol da na ngono, or no affect on the
We say fix the country. You say fix yourself.
Priscilla Akonhene Mensah is the headmistress.
They enter their menstrual period and then do not attend school because of the pad that they use to, address the situation. And so sometimes some of them fail to come to school.
Sales manager, Northern Sector of Sunda Ghana Limited, Thomas Amea Jr. attributes the expensive cost to the skyrocketing cost of raw materials used for the parts.
So that's a report filed by Bright Kweku, and Lilipel Baba Otu is a gender advocate and founder of Bridge for Equity Ghana. She joins us via Zoom for some more on this conversation. Lilipel, I know that you have been at this campaign for a while. Is it clear to you why government is finding it difficult to move and take some concrete step in this decision, beginning with removing the tax at least?
I'm really struggling to identify what the actual problem is, why government is not able to fulfill its promise of removing the taxes on sanitary pads. You know, there have been some arguments that the tax is just 20%, it's just 12.5, VAT is just 17.5. But then, no matter how little it looks like, taking off these taxes alone brings some form of relief. The stories we hear when we go to the ground, and I am not talking about rural Ghana, I'm talking about Accra here, urban Ghana, Accra. I'm not talking about children or teenagers. I am talking about the working class. These are women who are working. They have a source of income. They are making money on the side, and they still find it very difficult to afford sanitary pads in Accra here. So taking the taxes off is not entirely what is going to, make it cheaper, but it's a huge step for government to take, especially having President Akufo-Addo as an AU gender champion, as a co-chair of the UN SDGs. I don't know, but it's very sad. It is sad.
A few weeks ago, there were issues that because we didn't have a substantive gender minister at post, well, because she was on a break, that was also slowing down the advocacy. A new one has been nominated. Hopefully, she will go through Parliament and be approved and take over the office. Is your organization positioned and ready to engage her on this issue?
Very much. And it's not just my organization. We are a lot of organizations that have come together to do this because we've realized that we are all doing or fighting this cause as individuals. But when we came together, our voices became louder. So we are doing this with Plan Ghana, Ghana Girls Guide. So many organizations have come together, and we look forward to engaging Madame Lariba if she is confirmed as our new gender minister, because we've done this engagement before in the past. We've done it with Madame Cynthia, we've done it with Madame Adjosafo, and so we are just hoping. Our last bet is on Madame Lariba. I just hope that our voices are heard. This needs to end. Period poverty is huge. It's bigger than we think, actually. Over the weekend, the president talked about the fact that, there's a launch of the 1 billion African Prosperity Fund, is going to give women access to, but I'm wondering, what has the president done ever since he assumed office as AU gender champion? What has he done in the area of gender? I'm struggling to put a finger to it. Wow. So I really hope that Madame Lariba gives us a big step to take to eradicate period poverty by taking.
Thank you very much. Lily Pelbabo, to the gender advocate and founder of Bridge Equity. The Oil Palm Development Association is calling for sustained surveillance at the borders following a Joy News expose detailing how custom officials take bribes to assist importers to smuggle thousands of cooking oil from neighboring countries into Ghana. The Ghana Revenue Authority says it has opened investigations into revelations some custom officials take bribes to assist importers to smuggle thousands of cooking oil from neighboring countries into the country. Now, it is estimated that the state is losing 300 million cedis in revenue if the smugglers and dealers are bringing in 5,000 metric tons of cooking oil annually. We'll hear from the GRA and the Oil Palm Development Association on this shortly, but first here's an excerpt of our documentary titled Smuggler's Paradise. Like Tamale, the border town of Sampa in the Bono region has another network of smugglers. They are mainly middle-aged women. Do not be mistaken, they call the shots in how oil and which quantity must be smuggled from neighboring Côte d'Ivoire to Signane and the Kumasi markets. One of them is Mame Selwa. She is easily identified at Sampa as Alaji's wife. As at the time of this investigation, she was willing to sell the smuggled oil to the investigative team at 370 cedis when Hamza's price was hovering around 430 Ghana cedis. She said the cooking oil has become scarce, so like many smugglers and traders, they have to leave huge amounts with dealers in Côte d'Ivoire.
Hey, I know any about committee. Car 7. Only know the mamma 3. I must say, as a more country. So,
she said it's become difficult for many smugglers to bring in large quantities of oil because some custom officials are not supportive. She revealed that top custom officials at Sampa and other checkpoints have told her the government is pressuring them to crack down on the operations of smugglers because it is affecting local business companies which produce cooking oil. Lavala is president of the Oil Palm Development Association of Ghana, and he says he is concerned about the impact of the smuggling on the Ghanaian economy. He spoke on the Super Morning Show.
They won't invest in the oil palm sector, so we will remain dependent on imports. And what these imports do is that we take a lot of hard-earned dollars to go and import, pay for the import. And some of these smugglers, they also mop up the dollars from the system to go and bring these oils. And yet, they are not paying their duties, they are not paying the VATs, they are not paying anything. And local industry, when it suffers, employment and jobs and the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of smallholder and outgrower farmers.
Well, he noted for the menace to become unattractive, the GRA must deal decisively with its officers and importers involved in this illegal trade.
It is something that has been there for a long time. So let's end that debate and see what we can do to solve the problem. It is conclusive enough that this is widespread. Year after year, we have engaged some of the authorities time without number, and sometimes some action is taken. And after the action is taken, after some time, it's like these smugglers, those behind them are powerful people, and they bulldoze their way through to wherever. So that is how it is. And a one-time documentary like this, and then tends to hide. After a few months, they will come back. If we don't find a more sustainable and permanent solution to this. And to add to what we can do, I believe that when tests like this have been done and people have been caught, the punishment must be hefty enough so that another person wanting to do it will think again. And so I disagree with my friend who says that, oh, they won't come and sit on radio and tell all their strategy. That's fine. But we must also know, and the world must know, what kind of punishment and the disincentiveness that it presents to whoever may want to attempt it the next time. That one we have never seen, and I think that is why people continue. Whether it is the traders or those who actually involved in the smuggling or officers who connive and collude with them, that we must see and hear. Just as the expose has shown us, the same thing must come out so that people know who are these people. Once they are exposed that way, I can also even say that will end the thing. But anybody wanting to go into this same venture.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Revenue Authority says it has initiated a probe into the revelations and will bring all officers found culpable to book. Benjamin Bekai is Senior Revenue Officer, Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority.
We have the Internal Affairs Department that is under the Good Governance Department headed by a Deputy Commissioner. And they, as we speak, this matter is before them and they've begun investigations into it. We can assure you, we have disciplinary measures in place.
Good.
And customs is one of the institutions that disciplines our officers more, except that we don't come on air to say that we've interdicted so much officers.
So tell us, how many have you interdicted over the past few years?
There has been an instance where over 300 custom officers were interdicted before.
Smuggler's Paradise will air at 8:30 p.m. right after Prime Sports. You want to stay for that documentary. Policy think tank Imani Africa says the government of Ghana may face serious legal battles as it holds talks with the International Monetary Fund for a bailout. Ghana is expected to show strong debt sustainability to the IMF to qualify for the $3 billion loan the state critically needs to restore an ailing economy. But Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simon, says investors represent the highest level of litigation risk for the program. Speaking on Newsfile, Mr. Simon said government will even struggle to use Parliament to push legislation on the program.
I personally believe that because of the fact that the collective action clauses, which is simply a way of saying that specific clauses in the contracts when you lend to government, when you buy a treasury bill or you buy a bond, that contract you sign with the government implicitly, the collective action clauses, they have not been tested properly because of our history. We've not really had some of these situations before in the way that they've turned out now. Though we've defaulted before in 82 and 79, when we did the currency demonetization, it was regarded as a kind of default. But we've not had the situation like we're currently confronted with. So the law governing the contracts, these debt contracts, are themselves not well developed. That means, therefore, that if somebody takes the government to court, the likelihood that the uncertainty around it may make the whole process less palatable to international investors and rating agents and the like is very high. So the simple thing is to pass a new law like Greece did. Greece passed the law and it applied retrospectively and said that when you give a loan to the government can change the terms when the economic situation warrants it. Now, the issue is that if you decide then to go to Parliament and pass a law, you cannot do that unless the opposition party are on board. So the issues around whether or not you can do a deal across all the categories of assets, which is called aggregation, whether you can use voting or it has to be quorum, all those matters, if they are not in the actual contracts you sign with people, you need to go to Parliament and do a law. And if you go to Parliament and do a law, there's a very strong sense, I get, that the opposition party will litigate all the matters again on the political realm by asking you, why are you doing only for domestic? Why should only Ghanaians suffer? When the time came and we were all enjoying, the foreign investors were also enjoying, there will be issues to do with, how much of a loss and a hit it will affect, different people in the country, different communities and things like that. And all the other impacts. But of course, the opposition will also have to take into account, in their mind, the political gains they stand to make if the usual things that happen with debt restructuring, which is that you see GDP fall, which is that sometimes you have higher spreads, may mean, therefore, that they stand a better chance at the next election and the rest of it.
Now, government has issued a statement on its negotiations with the IMF, assuring that the debt sustainability program that will be presented to the fund will be underpinned by key structural reforms as well as social protection. Let me bring you details of that statement released by the Finance Ministry today. It says that the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana have commenced discussions with the International Monetary Fund for an IMF-supported program. A key prerequisite for a program is confirmation that Ghana's debt is on a sustainable path. This will require a comprehensive debt sustainability analysis, which is currently ongoing. The government of Ghana is putting together a comprehensive post-COVID-19 economic program, which will form the basis for the IMF negotiations. The program seeks to establish a macro-fiscal path that ensures debt sustainability and macroeconomic stability underpinned by key structural reforms and social protection. Government negotiation with respect to the IMF supported program is commencing this week, and we are optimistic about making progress in our discussions. Government remains committed and shall continue to actively engage stakeholders, both public and private, in a clear and transparent manner as we seek to fast-track this process. Away from the economy, Ghanaian students currently in war-stricken Ukraine have been advised to take advantage of government intervention to continue their training here in Ghana. This follows a directive from the Medical and Dental Council of Ghana that it will no longer recognize degrees or certificates issued by the Medical and Dental Council from Ukraine. Here's why. Some schools in Ukraine have resorted to studying online, which according to the council falls short of the required training process to become a doctor in Ghana. Let's find out more on this decision by the Dental and Medical Council. We're joined by its registrar, Dr. Divine Indonu Banyubala. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. So, in an era where technology is driving innovation and development, and knowing what COVID-19 taught us, shouldn't we be making it possible for students to learn or acquire knowledge online? Why is that a problem?
Thank you very much, Ernest. The first thing is, please do not confuse a certain standard of training that is not acceptable to the use of technology in assisting medical training, research, or service delivery. Please don't let us reduce this. These are serious matters.
Help us understand.
Now, our statement is clear that due to the disruptive effect of the war, medical training is not like training other professions with all humility. It's an apprenticeship.
Dr. Divine, if you can kindly speak up for us, would appreciate it.
Yes. So I guess I'm having a little bit of a connection problem. But I was just making the point that medical training that trains people to literally decide between life and death is not like other programs. Therefore, it requires hands-on, focused scientific inquiry and approaches. What we have said is that, sad as this is, the country Ghana took a responsible leadership position by providing one option which most of our competitors haven't, that those of them whose education was disrupted could opt to come and continue their training here in Ghana. And since April, that information has been communicated. The Ghana Treasury Education Commission pre-qualified the certificate, verified all of them, and determined those who were eligible for consideration for placement in Ghana to continue their training.
Okay.
Now, after that, even though 180 of them were deemed eligible, only 121 of them showed any interest that they would take our pre-placement assessment. And all those who took our pre-placement assessment will be assisted and placed in medical schools locally at the various levels. However, those who have chosen to go to other countries, we suggest that if you didn't take advantage of this one-off opportunity, then please seek transfer to appropriately accredited training institutions in other areas where training will be done in the professionally accepted manner. And that for all intents and purposes, any institution purporting to train medical and dental doctors online only is completely unacceptable as a matter of professional standard. And therefore, we have had similar situations elsewhere. And if you check, in as far back as June, Nigeria's regulator issued that warning. But for us, we wanted to give them the opportunity to be assisted. So once we finished, our advice to those who didn't take that advantage of that opportunity is that please do ensure that you get transfers, because online training of doctors and dentists falls short of the acceptable, professionally acceptable training standard.
And Doc, help me. For those that were identified as eligible for the transfer or continuation of their studies here in Ghana, what level are they in terms of their training?
I think they are across all levels, from first year all the way to final year.
And I ask this question because this directive that the council has given affects all levels.
It affects all levels.
All levels. Are there not people who are almost, there at the finishing line, whom perhaps will just need some of these online studies to just complete their training and will then be right for the market?
My good friend, there's nothing like nearly there. You are either a properly trained doctor or you are not. Nearly there does not make you there. Please, when we are talking about important life and death issues, as a professional regulator, we will be letting the Ghanaian public down if we said somebody was nearly a doctor. Therefore, the person should be accepted. We are clear. Professional regulatory standards require some minimum competencies. And online training is not one of the recognized acceptable professional training standards in medicine and dentistry anywhere in the world.
So when does this window of opportunity closes finally?
The window of opportunity has already passed. We started the oral exam, the theory examinations on the 16th of September, and we finished with our oral interviews assessment last week. And as I speak, later this week, the committee that was seized with the responsibility will meet, and then all those who have been assisted and placed, their placement will be confirmed and made known to them.
Is the council working with government to help some of these students who are willing to return but have challenges, getting back home to enroll onto the program?
I'm not too sure what is meant there. I've already indicated that, one, the council has shown leadership by working with stakeholders from Ministry of Education, Foreign Affairs, and all the deans of the medical schools, both private and public, to provide an opportunity for those of them who were eligible and willing to continue here. That window has closed.
Well, thank you.
The next responsible thing is to advise them the implications of continuing to use a professionally unacceptable means. And that we have done. And I think that is what, as a responsible professional regulator, acting in the public interest, we are required to do.
Thank you very much. We are grateful for your time, Dr. Divine Bala there. Let's stay on Zoom. Henry Smith is a student in Ukraine, and he joins us for some more on this discussion. Henry, for the benefit of our viewers, tell us what courses you're offering and what level you are at this moment.
Okay, I am Henry Fifi Holbrook Smith. I'm a fourth-year medical student of National Pyrogov Medical University in Ukraine presently, and I'm the financial secretary of NICS Ukraine.
Henry, what is preventing you and some of your colleagues from returning or continuing your studies here in Ghana?
Okay, so as we speak now, I am presently in Ghana, and I partook in the assessment exams, and as a leader of my student body, I believe I can speak for all students here. Okay, so what is basically preventing some of the students from coming back home is the uncertainty of this whole integration process. As it stands now, I don't know if the Medical and Dental Council is aware that the academic year in Ukraine starts a day or two in September. So if this communique is released or issued out on the 23rd, many students have paid their fees. And even those who took their exams don't know the outcome of the assessment. We don't know where we are going. All we know is that government is doing everything possible to integrate us into the system. But we do not know when this is going to be possible We do not know the outcome of the assessment, whether it is going to be favorable to us or not. So people continue to engage in online just to while away time to determine the outcome of these things. And also, Ukraine, as it stands now, is strictly on offline mode for those that are in Ukraine. Online is only for those who are not able to go to Ukraine due to travel issues and the ongoing invasion. So if you are in Ukraine now and you're a student in Ukraine, you undertake your classes on offline mode. Okay. And that is one thing the council is not aware of. So visiting the communique that was issued on the 23rd, how we would want to know how they are going to be able to distinguish between students that are enrolled on offline mode or students that are going for online mode. That is one thing we'd want to know. We would want clarification on that. How are they going to regulate that? How are they going to determine students that will be rolling on the offline and students that will be going on online mode? Also, this is an unforeseen circumstance, and it is really traumatizing to the students and even parents, because we know that during unforeseen circumstances, those who graduated in 2020 had a period of online education. They came to Ghana, took the exams, and those that passed were integrated into the system. So if somebody should go, we are not condoning online education because we know that is not right. But this is an unforeseen circumstance. It's an unfortunate incident that happened. Nobody really planned for this. And we know this whole war is taking on nations globally, and even here in Ghana, our president keeps making references to the effect of the war on Ghana's economy and all other things. So if this is an unforeseen circumstances and then consideration can't be given to students, then I believe they are not being fair on our part. As
Henry, we'll leave it here. I'm grateful for your time. That's Henry Smith, a student who studied in Ukraine, but back now to Ghana to continue with his studies. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Kojo Manu. Still to come, invest in reading and seek explanation from government before you criticize. That's the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to critics.
When we say something and they don't understand, instead of asking for an explanation and also reading about it, they don't like to read, they don't want to ask for explanation, they just say, you are lying.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is asking critics of government to invest in reading and also seek explanation from government before criticizing. According to him, many of government political opponents cast doubt on the viability of the Sino-Hydro project when government initiated the move. Addressing the chiefs and people of Cape Coast at the commissioning of the Cape Coast inner city roads, Dr. Bawumia indicated that government means well and will continue with its year of roads to bring relief to the people of Ghana.
A total of 22 kilometers of roads, according to government, have been completed as part of the Sino-Hydro project. According to the Vice President, the roads that were selected in Cape Coast were in poor conditions when they were chosen, while many of them were unmotorable during the rainy season. Dr. Bawumia says government could not have chosen a better investment in the lives of the people than this. He called on critics of government to read and seek understanding of government activities before they criticize.
Today marks yet another day of the commissioning of yet another Sino-Hydro project, Feely. Unfortunately for some of our opponents, when we say something and they don't understand, instead of asking for an explanation and also reading about it, they don't like to read, they don't want to ask for explanation, they just say, you are lying. But today, as we commissioned they are silent. They are no longer saying it's not possible. A total of 400 141 kilometers of roads and 2 interchanges are to be constructed. The objectives of the projects are to enhance intra-urban, regional, and national traffic flow, trade, and strengthen regional economic integration. I was privileged to perform the sword cutting for this important project on 21st November 2019. The commencement of the project was on 20th December 2019 for completion in 30 months. The project was duly completed on schedule.
Public health actors are bemoaning the lack of funds to fight and promote issues of environmental health in the country. According to them, the absence of a centralized ministry responsible for public health makes it difficult to access funds, a situation they say is suffocating the aim to make Accra clean. They're calling for the passage of the National Health Sanitation Bill, which among other things is expected to harmonize activities of public health actors in the country. Michael Asha.
World Environmental Day is celebrated on 26th of September every year to put the spotlight on the crucial work done by environmental health workers. This year, the day was celebrated under the theme Strengthening Environmental Health Systems for the Implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. Public health activities in Ghana are split among 3 ministries and largely uncoordinated. According to Environmental Health Metro Director for the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Florence Kuchi, the situation is making it difficult to properly deal with the worsening sanitation problem in Accra.
We are supposed to be under local government ministry. That is our mother ministry. But as it stands now, we do not even have a desk there to say that this desk is for environmental health workers, that there will be a supervisory head there who will champion environmental health issues at the departmental, ministerial or interagency collaboration aspect.
A former Deputy Trade and Industry Minister and a member of Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, says it does not make sense for the Ghana Airports Company Limited to refuse to provide information concerning the Frontiers Health Services COVID testing deal. The Ghana Airport Company said the agreement it has with Frontiers Health Services contained information that cannot be disclosed. This is the response to an RTI information, a right to information request sent to the company by Joy News. Frontiers was tasked to undertake COVID-19 tests at the Kotoka International Airport. The deal came under intense scrutiny following allegations of corruption leveled by some civil society organizations and opposition MPs. The Tamale Central MP Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed says the response from the Airport Company Limited is not convincing.
Well, first and foremost, let me quickly respond to one of the reasons they gave to Joy for their refusal to provide you with the information you sought from them. If they said that the monies were paid directly to Frontier Health, I mean, that is absolutely nonsense. And I say this without any apology. Every $150 that was paid, Ghana Airport Company had $2 from every $150. How did they calculate the $2? So what it means is that on everybody who makes payment, Ghana Airport Company knew they were getting $2. So they can easily provide the information. Because if you are assuming that 3 people came through the airport, so you multiply 150 by 3, that gives you $450. And out of the $450, you get $6. So simply they are unwilling to provide them. It is also important to state that I asked the question demanding to know. And the minister in his response on the floor said he provided same to the committee when he appeared before the committee and said he was going to provide it. As I sit today, months after that statement, that information has not been provided.
Well, let's stay on matters relating to the right to information law. As it has emerged now, the Ghana Police Service has refused to comply with an order by the Right to Information Commission to provide information to the Fourth Estate. The media organization had wanted details of budgetary allocation to the service. Listen to the Fourth Estate Evans Mensah and Executive Secretary of the RTI Commission, Yao Boateng Sapo?
No, we don't have the information as of yet. So that particular request has a lot of issues. When we send the request even to the police service, initially they rejected the request, insisting that we need to address it to the chief staff officer instead of the information officer that the law requires us to do. Upon a few
what reason did they give you for saying you should direct it to the chief staff officer?
They said they don't have any information officer at the Ghana Police Service, and so they can't take the request that we are making. And so they refer us back. We have to now go and write back to the chief staff officer, and then from there we appeal the request to the IGP. We had no response. Then we took the matter to the RTI Commission. They ruled on the matter, and they fined the police service actually.
You're watching Johnny Span with me, and that's our show for this evening.